If you like what you see, don't forget to smash that like button, share it, or subscribe. For all the latest Atlas info, sign up for our newsletter, shop.atlasrr.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And most importantly, enjoy the show.
Hello, Atlas fans, and welcome to the Atlas O Spring 2023 Premiere Catalog presentation. I'm Jarrett from Atlas. I'm excited to be here with you all tonight. I'm joined by Matt Mosakis.
How you doing, Jarrett?
Good to see you, Matt. And we had Andy drop off, but Andy should be back soon. We're live on Facebook and YouTube right now, so feel free to jump in on the chat. Let us know where you're from. Tell us what you think about all these great products from Atlas. So let's just check in, see who's on the chat. Peter's Trains from New York. JC Trains. All right. Donald. Hey, Donald. Todd. Lots of people checking in. All right. Ridgewood in the house. Got to give a special shout out to Philip Labar. How you doing, Philip? SoCal checking in. All right. Let's see. Okay. So let's say hi to the crew here. We got Matt, who we mentioned before. Matt's the vice president of social media at Atlas. Matt not only coordinates Atlas's social media, but he also helps with the research and development of all the exciting products that you'll see here tonight. So Matt, how are you doing tonight? Good?
Good. Excited to announce all these products. We got 40 pages of new stuff to show everybody. So they're not getting cheaped out on any announcements. It's a lot of new stuff.
Excellent, excellent. And Andy just dropped back in. Perfect.
All right. Can you hear me though?
We got you.
Yeah.
We got audio and video, Andy. We're good.
All right, good. Excellent. We lost me again. Dang.
It's all right. Just a little bit of technical difficulties. Let's see who else is on the stream tonight. Mine Hill checking in. Wipeout Trains. Let's see how many people are on here right now. Oh yeah, we got a bunch of people. Again, we're live on Facebook, YouTube. So psyched to be here with you all tonight. Andy, who just dropped back in, Andy helps Atlas with marketing and development of all the great O-scale products that we previously acquired from MTH. And Andy is an OG in the model train industry, and we're excited to have him here tonight. So how are you doing, Andy?
I'm doing well, and I'll be honest, I've never been called an original gangsta before, so that's new for me. But thanks for having me. I certainly am looking forward to tonight.
There's a first for everything. All right. So just also as a reminder, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any videos from Atlas. Sign up for Atlas's email news service at shop.atlasrr.com. And also check out Atlas on Instagram and Twitter for all the latest and greatest info on the world of Atlas. So without further ado, let's dive into the Atlas O Spring Catalog. Matt, Andy, let's take it away.
All right. Well, thanks a lot there, Jared. And I know that I certainly have had my team working really hard to help build this product line up for you guys for this April catalog release. And it's been challenging at times, but that's always the case. I certainly was used to it in my old life as an OG. And I think we did a pretty good job of putting everything together, and really pretty much came in pretty much on time. I mean, because we weren't at York, we didn't have to have it there, but this is a nice week. Everybody's home. Hopefully they had a good time last week. And now we'll start running through this thing. Starts off with what you can see on the cover, SD70 Max. And from there, there's all kinds of different selections. Matt, why don't you start talking about these SD70s and what we've got going?
Absolutely. So you see on the top there, we have the BNSF wedge on the BN executive paint scheme. Well, there's a teaser for you, the UP1 unit right on the cover. That's really cool unit. Came out of summer last year. And to get back to the page. And so below the BN, the former BN executive unit, which has a wedge on it, both those numbers that we're doing are also still in service. So they were painted like that for a good, probably 12 years now. So it spans a long distance. Below that, we have the CSX YN3C. So it looks just like the normal YN3 scheme, but it has very smallly on the bottom, a little. Yeah, and you can show us some higher res shots in the video.
Yeah, and these SD70 Mac, I think last time MTH ran that was way back in like 2015 or 6 or 14, and only one of these schemes ever showed up as an MTH engine. So these are all new.
Yeah.
For Atlas customers and MTH customers who've been buying Prototypical 3 locomotives for years. So yeah, go ahead, Matt. I mean,
yeah. So back to the BNSF wedge on the executive scheme. If you don't mind going back 1 second.
The BNSF was, hold on, that was back here. There we go.
There we go. All right. So like I said, both these road numbers are still in service with the BN former executive scheme. They call it the executive scheme because BN started they originally painted their F9s for their business train in the scheme. Then when they got the SD70 Max, they painted them the scheme as well. And they painted them in the scheme because they just like SD70 Max are the first AC traction power BN had. So they could tell basically it was a big spotting feature. It was a completely different scheme. And it was easy to spot the AC traction versus the rest of the fleet, which was still in a Cascade green. So that's a little tidbit about the BNSF engines. The Paducah and Louisville, that's a major coal hauling railroad. And those are all former CSX units. I believe this is the only true one that MTH has done numbers of before. So these are new numbers. Neither Premier or any of those other O-scale guys have made this before. So for you guys in the Appalachia country, can haul some coal. Here's the CSX YN3C scheme. So if you can see right underneath the CSX, there's a little very tiny www.csx.com. And this separates it from the YN3 traditional scheme or the YN3B, which stands for boxcar, which is the CSX with the little parentheses and dots underneath it that look like a boxcar. So this is like the newest corporate scheme for CSX. They're putting this out on all of their rebuilds and any new paint locomotives that get shopped and come out of the paint shop. They're going to get this YN3C scheme. And the YN3 and YN3 stands for yellow nose. So this is a third variation of CSX paint schemes with yellow noses.
So when I perused the MTH data earlier today, I saw this same scheme, but maybe not quite the same. Obviously not YN3 because it didn't have the website URL on there.
Yeah,
that was back in 2009. Does that sound like they had the yellow nose back then?
They did.
Okay. All right. So that's the only time, and that's the only scheme out of all these that MTH did.
So very little changes on the scheme besides the website underneath the CSX. And then up by the nose, you see kind of like a Wi-Fi looking logo. That means DPU. So CSX in real life, they have PTC and DPU controls in their cabs. So they could put this unit in the middle of the train. And now with precision railroading, they're running like, 100 car trains on the regular. So they'll put pusher units in the middle. So that's what that little Wi-Fi logo means. Is it means it's DPU capable, designated pusher unit capable. So those are two little neat details on the decoration for that CSX unit. Here's Lake State. Lake State's acquiring a bunch of new power. They actually bought most of the CSX lines in Eastern Michigan, so they need bigger road power now. They They were a little short line that started in the early 90s with ragtag Alco power. Then in the 2000s, they went to all EMD. And now they have this really sharp paint scheme, and they're getting noticed by rail fans everywhere. It's kind of like a standout. Like it's a really sharp looking unit, and the name gives it away where they're from. It's classic Michigan.
Hey, Matt, just a quick question. We've got some people on the chat just asking about two rail.
Yeah.
Very, very excited that it's in both, 3 and 2 rail. What was the status on the pilots? Did we do anything on with the pilots for the 2 rail?
So they can do fixed pilots for us.
That's cool. Yeah, we got a bunch of questions just about the 2 rail pilots. So I'm sure that'll make a lot of people happy about that.
Indeed, because MTH never did it that way. So for sure, you'll get some happy 2 railers.
Yep.
So Metra next.
Metra. These are brand new. There's actually Metra just took delivery of these units. They're from Progress Rail. Metra signed a contract with Progress Rail to buy 15 of them. They're going to test them out because Metra's commuter fleet's aging. It's all F40s and F59s, and a lot of times the Chicago people, they'll tell you you'll see 2 F40s or 2 F59s pushing bi-level trains because the multi-level cars Metra uses are so heavy that they need 2. So the SC70 Mac rebuilds will give more attractive effort to these commuter trains. And I mean, I know it's 6-axle power is going to look really awkward, but it's going to be pretty cool seeing these large units on commuter trains. So Metra has a contract right now to take 15 of them in within this year. So a lot of them are showing up already. You'll see pictures of them being tested, but by the end of the year, they should have them all delivered, and there's an option for 27 more rebuilds if they like them. So these are pretty cool and ultra modern.
Yeah, good looking engines.
Yeah, nice paint scheme on those. Same with this. RJ Corman, this had a scramble, and we had our nice little run of SD70 Max done, and then RJ Corman dropped this last month, which is just an ultra cool engine. RJ Corman changed their corporate font for this. They also have a really nice 50th anniversary logo. So RJ Corman started as a one-man company back in 1973, just a guy with a backhoe doing maintenance of way contracts for Louisville and Nashville. And he's the ultimate entrepreneur. He started with just a backhoe, and now he has 6 or 7 different short lines, and RJ Corman does maintenance away for every major Class 1 railroad across the country. I think he even has his own, well, I know the original founder passed away, but RJ Corman Corporation has their own airplanes and helicopters now too. It's a pretty cool corporation.
Yeah, that's such a cool story. Starts with a backhoe and goes from there. So definitely a cool story, and showed up as a lot of different products in the model railroad industry. So it's been neat to do these kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's always done flashy looking paint schemes.
Yeah. Now this has got to be one of the best looking schemes I've seen in a long time on a diesel. This
is ultra cool. This is the Union Pacific 1 engine, which is celebrating the Union Pacific's diversity within their corporation. So they have all these employee resource groups, whether it's race, gender, social stuff like veterans, as well as academics. Union Pacific has all these employee resource groups according to whatever group you feel associated with. So there's 9 different colors on the top along the long hood of that engine, and each color represents one of the resource groups within Union Pacific, which is basically like Union Pacific peer leadership. And the number 1979 on there, that is the first year they started this program. So it's all about peer leadership, diversity within Union Pacific. And they did a really sharp job on this paint scheme celebrating that.
They really did. And I think UP deserves a lot of credit for, the different schemes that they've done to, kind of expand, the railroading concept out there to people that don't know anything about railroading. I mean, they're unique in that respect. You've seen some of the other railroads, Norfolk Southern, Canadian Pacific, follow along. with heritage stuff and whatnot. But this kind of thing is unbelievably cool.
Yeah, it definitely gets people interested. It's
yeah,
pretty cool.
what a great scheme. UP Collector says, "Take my money."
Absolutely, absolutely. And then of course, classic UP, right?
Yeah, more UP.
Yeah.
So any UP fan or any big boy fan will need this unit. 4015 is which 4015 is also a famous big boy, but 4015 in this case is a ST70 Mac assigned to big boy escort service. So big boy 4014 toured around the country last year, and 4015 ST70 Mac was trailing it. So, the drivers and stuff on the steam engine just don't get overworn, a little helper power. But Union Pacific did something cool. They gave it silver trucks and a green sun glare on the nose, which is classic UP from the 1970s and 60s kind of styling. So they kind of made their modern locomotive more elegant in a way to match their business train passenger cars.
Do you really think that sun glare works?
No. If it's shiny metal, it doesn't matter what color you paint it.
Just check.
Especially if you have you're just going west into the sun.
Yeah.
Or east.
That's some neat stuff. So, of course, all the listings in the catalog. So your 2-rail and 3-rail offerings, the cab numbers and whatnot. And then that takes us over to E8s.
E8s. So there's something cool with E8s. We have all new tooling on these where we eliminated the portholes, as you would see on so many 1970s and late 60s E8s, including the 80s. We have the transit scheme down there, which is early 80s. But as these, you can see the portholes on the KCS unit. That's the traditional as delivered style of E8s, which were in the 50s and 60s. But these side panels used to rust out. So as I replaced them, the portholes were really just good for looks. It was just kind of like aesthetics thing. So what they did was they just put sheet metal over it instead and removed the windows. So in this run, we have a lot of the modernized E8s without portholes.
Yeah, and MTH never did it that way. So that's a tooling change that you made on this locomotive that folks never saw. So I think this is the only one that actually has the portholes. Am I correct on that? Or maybe KCS.
KCS is the only one.
Yeah. Okay. So we got the wrong picture there.
Yeah.
That's bad on Andy. That's what happens when you become an old gangster.
All good. So there you see the Amtrak with the multi-mark or the motion mark that you just passed.
Yeah, I missed that. Hold on. There we go.
There we go. So the Amtrak with the motion mark. Amtrak had these from its conception until I would say the late 70s. Then they started to paint them into the phase 2 scheme.
Right.
But
this scheme was done by MTH back in 2010, so it's been a long time since anybody's seen an E8.
Yeah, and that's a classic Amtrak scheme, and it has the variation of without portholes. So even if you have the previous MTH run, it gives you a reason.
Yeah, but I think you picked different numbers, didn't you?
We did as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, classic Amtrak. Here we go with BN hockey strike. So it's got the hockey stick. People refer to it as a BN, Burlington Northern hockey stick scheme. This is also early BN. And it has the commuter high visibility stripes on the nose. So when BN was conceived, they inherited a lot of Burlington's commuter service around Chicago. And unfortunately, when you have commuter service, there's a lot of grade crossing and accidents. So they had to put really high visibility orange stripes on the nose for these commuter units. And they were also
Matt, sorry.
No, you go.
We have one question. Tom 25 PAS. Are the E8s going to have blind wheel sets in the middle or the end of the trucks?
That's like a Billy question to me. But
Well, I can tell you where that question comes from. The E8 truck that MTH used, it was one of the few trucks that wasn't modified where the blind wheel was moved to the center. So it was always inward all the way, which allowed that truck to swing out a lot for sharper curves.
It has a really steep flange angle, right?
The blind wheels just floats over the
Yeah.
rail. So when you move it to the middle, you restrict the turning radius somewhat. And because of the length of the engine, that's why that blind wheel was always inboard as far as it was. But people complain about it, that they'd see the wheels hanging over the track. But that's part of what happens when you're trying to do tighter curves. So hopefully that helps. And I don't know whether you're going to change it or not, but.
All
Try to
right.
sacrifice
Great.
maybe the tighter curves.
So here's the proper view of the NJ Transit.
There's a proper view of the NJ Transit. So this is early New Jersey Transit, 1980s, post NJ dot and all that, and has a New Jersey Herald on the nose. It's really cool. These if anybody from New Jersey can testify, these could see these in South Amboy all the time, and on the New York and Long Branch, which basically goes from South Amboy all the way down to Point Pleasant. And they would run from South Amboy to Point Pleasant because the electrification of the commuter line ended in South Amboy. So the diesels would hop on the front end of the commuter train. The GG1 would uncouple. They would hook up the E8s, and they would take them all the way down to Point Pleasant and back. So these are really like an iconic part of New Jersey history, these E8s.
So you New Jerseyites need to pony up for that, right?
Yeah. Big time.
How about the radius that these run on? We have a question from Lee. Will the E8 run on 031 or 042? 031 seems pretty tight, but what's the minimum?
Yeah, if you're not changing that blind wheel configuration, it'll run on 031. Doesn't look great, but I mean, it's a long engine. So 42, and if you're pulling passenger cars, you're going to be looking at 42 anyway. So that's really what people should be shooting for. And again, if you move that blind wheel and change it up a little bit on that truck, then you're going to be looking at 42 as a minimum.
All right. Penn Central, another frequently seen in South Amboy and New Jersey and all over the eastern states. So these were mixed into commuter service during the Penn Central years. They're also still doing regional service. In desperate times, ended up in freight too. Rock Island, very similar to Penn Central, commuter service, regional trains, and often a freight. And this Rock Island scheme, you could see it from the late 1960s all the way to probably the mid 70s, and then that red rock came in. But some of these hung out till the end. And there's a lot of cool shots of these on fast freights on the front end. E8s were a very diverse unit. And the Kansas City Southern scheme. This is a cool one. This is a specific, this is the last, because Kansas City Southern actually incorporated the CP. So this is actually the last time Kansas City Southern actually ran the Southern Bell scheme on their passenger trains for revenue. This wasn't a business unit. This was actually a revenue passenger train. And unlike the Kansas City Southern Bell schemes you see today, the black there is actually Brunswick green, not black like the modern locomotives. So it's pretty interesting. And we have a full set of passenger cars to match this as well. You can actually model this full last Southern Bell train.
And that particular KCS scheme MTH did way back, 1999.
Wow.
So folks looking for that scheme would have a hard time finding it. So this is a great opportunity to pick it up and start your KCS train, because as you said, there are streamline cars to go with them, and we can see those as we move through the catalog, and a bunch of different configurations, and I think some care in how folks look at what these things are will be important because there's so many different ways that you guys have configured it, not necessarily the same paint scheme for each one.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to our buddy Scott in R&D. He put all these configurations together painstakingly, finding prototype photos and, getting correct numbers to match every similar car type. Some aren't, exact, but pretty much spot on configuration wise. So here you see the Amtrak set with the black roof on the observation, which is actually correct. Early Amtrak was a mix and match really, and he's kind of nailed the set there.
Yeah, that's a beautiful set. Scott did a great job with that.
Yeah, Scott loves his passenger cars. So
Yeah, he's pretty enthusiastic.
Yeah, understatement. So speaking of mixing and matching, you saw the BN had the silver Vista domes there, which would be mixed into the hockey stick scheme passenger cars in the 1970s BN train, 1970s BN trains, and right before Amtrak.
And it looks like some smooth cars with ribbed cars in this configuration as well. So not all the same types, which is a complete departure from the way MTH used to do it with passenger cars. Also, you've got new plates and so forth, different size plates on the sides of the cars.
Yeah, we have
appropriate.
The plates for the BN, and even the name plates and specific names, all the name cars as well. So
yep, for sure.
Really impressive job with this selection. Here's the KCS set, which is actually the exact set for the train. It's
for the E8, right?
Yeah,
and that set, unlike the other two that we've seen, just two different offerings: 4-car set and a single car.
That was done to keep it prototypical. We could have thrown domes in there and stuff, but if you ordered the 4-car set and the standalone, that was the train.
So we can safely say that the Atlas cars or Atlas sets are prototypical. There's no makeups at all. I mean, MTH would throw full Vista domes in as offerings, not necessarily in a set, but the railroad may not have Vista
fully
domes at all.
Prototypical for the most part. There's some, similar prototype, little stretch, but it's correct according to photos and stuff.
Right.
Yep. And same with the road numbers and the name cars as well. They match. New Jersey Transit's a little more boring because it's commuter service. It's anybody that grew up in New Jersey in the late 70s, early 80s can remember seeing these former Seaboard cars or Penn Central. Even you can buy some BN cars and throw them in there because they got cars from everybody. They called it the Jersey Builder instead of the Empire Builder because it was just a rainbow. And the cool thing about the transit cars here is we have the Transit Tavern car on there, which is the
last one. This one right here.
Yeah, that one. The large one on the bottom was the only tavern car New Jersey Transit ever had. They actually did offer snack and service in the late 70s for a bit.
I think I've got about 10 comments from people on the chat asking us to do the California Zephyr again. I guess this is bringing up feelings of the Zephyr for people. Maybe we'll have to consider that.
You can't talk about O-scale streamline cars without the California Zephyr.
Nobody gets tired of that.
Yeah.
Now, this is a unique one. This is Scott was very enthusiastic about this one. He was very excited about it. And tell me a little bit about this because this is a pretty cool setup.
Oh yeah. Well, the whole theme of these passenger cars is mixing and matching, which is ultra real to prototype. Because if you look at pictures from the mid 70s of Penn Central, they loan cars to people. They got cars back. So you see 3 cars actually up there that were loaned to New Haven that they actually received back. They were built for Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania loaned them out to New Haven, put their colors on them. During the PC merger, they got them back from New Haven. So they slapped Penn Central on there, New Haven marks even stayed on it. And then with the 2-car additional set, you see the classic Penn Central green, which would be mixed into the streamlined silver cars.
Yeah,
So
that's really cool.
Classic 1970s railroading.
Right. And I'm not certain, but I don't think MTH ever made Penn Central streamlined cars. I failed to look that up this morning, but I don't recall it in all the years that we ever did that.
Mm-hmm. And RJ's Trains is right. You can throw the PC cars into Amtrak, it says.
Mix and match.
Yep. Here's a Rock Island set, which is prototypical for more of one of their regional trains. It's kind of late 50s.
Would go with the
early
E8
60s.
without any issue, right?
Yeah.
And of course, on the book, there's all the pictures are there, so you can check them out. The 2 cars, the single cars, and the 4 cars.
Nicely done, Margie.
Yes, she did a great job.
Layouts.
Shout out to Margie.
Shout out. All right, moving into the rapid discharge hoppers.
Yeah, so these are former MTH cars. So again, Premier, and been a while since MTH did any of those as well. And I don't know, did we do any of these paint schemes? I don't think so.
I believe these are all new, or Southern
I think
Pacific
so.
and Chessie might be reruns, but they're new numbers, and everybody needs more Southern Pacific and Chessie. It's just.
Oh, I agree. You got to have it.
You don't have enough, Andy.
You got to have it.
Yeah, no, these, and the new schemes are really new. So here you see the SP. It's classic.
So nothing new about these cars as far as the detail and the molds. Everything is the same when MTH used to do them. There's a lot more features than this, but basically the same type of car. And then we've got the 6 different offerings.
Yeah, the only change is the 2-rail, right? You guys never did.
That's correct. They were set up so that you could add 2-rail trucks and KD couplers before, but MTH never offered them that way. And that's one of the unique things about the Atlas line, is that you guys do a great job of really paying attention to that 2-rail market. I know that they're a vocal group, not a huge group, but vocal, and they support Atlas very well for that. And I'm glad to see that you guys are making more of an effort than MTH did.
Yeah, we got to give the 2-rail guys some love. And
the
2-rail stuff is really cool. It's nice seeing that stuff, ultra realistic. But we got the Amtrak scheme here. These cars are probably a year or 2 old. It's in the limeish, bright green, yellow for Amtrak maintenance away. You can see this a lot on the Northeast Quarter and stuff. We got Matt Donnelly from Amtrak excited with this.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
We can talk about the colors later with him.
Yeah.
Here's the Bessemer in Lake Erie, which is really a CN car because Canadian National acquired them. And these are newer cars too. These haul aggregate across, I believe these are up in Minnesota for the most part. CN hauls long unit trains of these. It's a scheme that MTH never did.
Nope.
And Florida East Coast, we're affectionately called FEC.
They call it what?
FEC.
Oh, okay.
Just the youngsters call it that.
Yeah.
No, but these haul limestone, and that car was brown, but by the end of its prototypical life, it will be white, just from all the limestone use. The GATX, General American. This is a leaser. I've seen these in my neck of the woods. Usually they're hauling large aggregate, kind of like gravel stones and stuff from quarries, and putting on people's patios later. That guy. Yeah, I like the blue scheme though. Stands out.
It's attractive.
And you could add that one to any mixed freight too. It's not really like a unit train one. Same thing with the chassis. Chassis didn't really use these in unit. Like they would run in large chunks, but it wouldn't exactly be a unit train. And chassis was another aggregate type of service.
And then last but not least, the Southern Pacific.
And the Southern Pacific. That's a classic one. I think we could run that every time we run this car. Guys will always need more.
And the one thing that folks should take note of is that all of these are offered in 4-car numbers, 4 different numbers.
Yeah. Because they did run in, large chunks. So
Right.
Or unit trains. So
Right.
Trying to provide people with decent amount of numbers.
Yeah, it's a good idea. MTH only doing them at 2, and so it's a good idea to come back and do it 4.
Hey Matt, we got a message from Steve Woodward who said, "Who in R&D came up with these schemes?"
I wonder who.
So just as an inside joke, Steve Woodward is one of our R&D members. So just a little levity right there.
That's his run. Happy to see the GATX.
What's up, Steve?
This is one of my runs.
This is one of yours?
Yeah. Yep. That's why it's got the cool Peabody limited edition car. Speaking of, there's the...
So this would be a makeup, right?
That's a make-believe car.
Right. Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
I think MTH did every Peabody prototype version there was on the 2-bay offset. So I had,
I think so.
A lot of Peabody collectors out there. And,
oh yeah, there are.
Matt, that Peabody was part of a limited series.
Yeah, so we're gonna produce that scheme just once. So if you're a Peabody, if you're a Peabody collector, you got this is your one shot to reserve it and get it, because we're just gonna make that once.
So you're saying that you'll never do that scheme again down the road?
Not even new numbers. Just
okay. All right. Fair enough.
Just one and done. You got to get it while it's hot.
That's it.
Get your orders in now. And lots of Peabody collectors. So here we see the C and I, which is cool. MTH never did it. They have a culty following. Seeing their rail fans are hardcore. They have a great historical society. They help us out a lot. So we whenever we run it, they're a smaller railroad, but we do well with them. Baltimore and Ohio. This one's cool. It has a simplified Capitol Dome scheme on it. So if you see the Capitol Dome logo on it, it's usually larger. And on this version, which was repainted by Redding actually in the 68 or 66 on the repaint. So it's a later B&O car, but it's cool because it was shot by Redding and it has a simplified logo that you don't see often. And 4 numbers of these as well.
Yep.
We had Matt's train room say, "Nice to see some B&O. Would like to see the F40s and the CSX executive B&O paint."
Sounds like a next run for the F40s. Here we have Main Central. I don't think MTH ever did this. These are cool cars. If you're a Main Central guy, and the coal on Main Central was really in the 50s and early 60s, and then domestic coal kind of got replaced by oil. And so, but Main Central kept these cars and turned them into wood chip cars. So if you feel so inclined, you can take your coal load out and put wood chips in there. It serves a multi-purpose. Here we go with the early version of Milwaukee. So MTH did Milwaukee Road before, but they didn't do it with the Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul, and Pacific logo. So this is a more transition era. If you're a steam guy or, GP7s or just earlier transition power, this is a car for you. and Pittsburgh and West Virginia. This is a hardcore coal road. Exactly like the road name states. From West Virginia, coal country, to the steel mills. So this railroad's whole job basically was coal, dedicated coal road. And they didn't need to go far, just from across the border to Pittsburgh.
Can you tell the viewers why they call it the alphabet route?
Andy's quizzing me now.
You better know the answer, because I don't know it.
I don't know the answer either.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody's going to chime in.
Somebody chime in the comments and help us out.
Help the rest of us ignorant people out.
Richmond and Fredericksburg and Potomac. This is a later car, has a high visibility stripes on the side of it, so you don't get whacked with a cold car if you're hanging out. This is just a cool scheme. It's really all RF&P hoppers later on. You can see the COTS panel on there, signifying it's mid 70s or later. And they used these cars into the early 80s. They really got their money's worth out of them. So if you're a CSX guy, it kind of showed up in your area as well.
And then here comes your Peabody again, I think.
There's a beautiful Peabody.
Yeah, there it is.
That's cool. It's an inverse of a normal Peabody car. So a normal Peabody car would be yellow with green lettering. What we did here is we flipped it. There was some locomotives like this where they had the invert, it'd be green with yellow lettering. So it's kind of where the idea stemmed from. Peabody was known for their bright liveries and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right, we actually got an answer on what the alphabet route is. It's a through route from the Midwest to the East. The nickel plate, P and WV, Western Maryland, Reading, CNJ, and New Haven, called the alphabet route because of all the initials.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. I mean, that was going to keep me up at night. So next up, we've got the 3-bay and 6-bay Atlas Master cylindrical hoppers.
The cylindricals. This is another one of my runs. So we see the Cargill up in the corner there. That's one local to the Northeast. These Cargill cars actually carried rock salt used for road service. So during the wintertime, you wonder where all the salt comes from. It actually was transported by train for road salt. So they load these cars up with that rock salt and they spread it on the road. J.M. Huber, they make all sorts of plastic products. They always, in the 80s and early 90s, they had great paint schemes. They would mark their cars up like big billboards. And this one's cool because it has a black roof and end cage on it, which is pretty different compared to any other cylindrical hoppers that we have. And Morton Salt, this is an iconic one. Has their iconic logo with the girl with the umbrella she's getting pelted by salt. But when it rains, it has their classic tagline there. When it rains, it pours. So just a really recognizable car right there, and classic American company. Santa Fe car is pretty neat. It's got the big orange stripe on it, which kind of means keep your distance from it. It's for formaldehyde only, so it stinks and it's deadly, and you want to stay away from it. But it's a neat car to feature on your layout. Kind of get a laugh at it with your buddies when it goes by. And that's a prototypical car. Sid Richardson Carbon. That will carry basically condensed coal in powder form, which they can use to make tires or fertilizer, like all sorts of different products with powderized coal. Excuse me. And it has a nice beautiful State of Texas logo on there as well. So if you're from Texas, you got to have it.
Gotta have it. Here's your Cargill again.
The Cargill's cool. If you're Lehigh Valley or C&J guy, it's for you. Norfolk and Western. This is a new scheme. It has the later simplified Norfolk and Western logo on it, as well as the written out in the corner. I can only find 2 or 3 pictures of these in real prototype pictures, so it's a pretty limited car. And this one's totally out of my mind, out of left field, but it's ultra cool looking. And it could have been possible. Burlington Northern had a huge fleet of 6-bay cylindrical hoppers that they got from Great Northern and Frisco. And they got them right around the bicentennial celebration. And BN never painted any rolling. They painted cabooses in bicentennial colors, but they never painted any rolling stock. So this kind of depicts a what-if scenario if BN went ahead and painted a piece of rolling stock for the bicentennial celebration. And I think it's really easy on the eyes and very American. So I love it.
Yeah, what a great paint scheme, Matt. That's that's really nice. I mean, that's another one of the limited runs that Atlas is doing, and got a lot of people commenting about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not prototypical, but if I'm a BN guy, I would have to have it.
You got to have it. Yeah. No, and that kind of Americana look does very well in the model railroad industry. So you'll do quite well with that. And I guess a limited edition, that means get your order in because you'll never see it again. So
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And they'll go crazy on eBay for them. So
right.
Get it while it's fresh.
So next up, Master O Trinity.
Master O Trinity corn syrup cars. So these are a necessity for any modern modeler. We got in the corner there, we got the GATX molten sulfur, which is a similar prototype, but they're almost exactly the same as our car. Let's see what. Oh, I'm starting the slideshow with the Minnesota corn processors, which is another cool scheme. Yeah, the details on this car are great. This is just like our HO model, just bigger. So the 2-rail guys love this, as well as the more modern 3-rail guys that want that detail. So there's the GATX scheme that I was just talking about. It's classified for molten sulfur. These corn syrup cars are almost identical. The manway hatch is a little different, but we have some requests for more variety on these, and this will give it to you. And you can see these molten sulfur cars in any mixed freight train, pretty much. And just like the phosphate car, they stink too.
Good to know.
Tate and Lyle. This is a true corn syrup car. This is a new paint scheme as well. New paint scheme, I believe. It's cool because it has the double conspic stripes on it. And they're not yellow. They're silver conspics.
Silver, yeah.
United States Army cars. So some people might say, oh, these are Fubies. No, these are real cars. They carry, I wrote it down somewhere, glacial acid. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's a key ingredient in TNT and other explosives. So these cars are used for basically going back and forth in Kingsport, Tennessee. They go from the Eastman chemical plant to the Holston ammunition depot, and they just carry this this acid will get solid after it hits 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So they got to keep these hot and move them fast. And they're basically made for making TNT.
And they only do that in that one location?
Yeah, only in Kingsport, Tennessee. So I think they only travel like 3 or 4 miles, but
okay.
They're prototypical cars. They're pretty much spot on to the model. The manway on top is a little bit wider, but the rest of the shape and overall size is spot on for these cars. And red and yellow, I mean, they stand out, and they're just good conversation pieces on your layout.
And my experience is anything military does very well. So
Yes.
I think you'll do well with them.
Yeah, they're just cool cars. You know,
Yeah.
In the Army, you know, they don't paint things green like they did the train sets of the 1970s. It's all red or yellow, and so that's an accurate Army car for you. Here you got Archer, Daniels, and Midland. That's one of the biggest corn processors in the United States. And again, ADM cars show up in every mixed freight. So modern guys need that. And that's the Leaf logo. That's their current, most present logo. It's just
and then back to your Minnesota corn products.
And then Minnesota corn products.
And it's a cool logo.
That's a cool logo. This one's a 1990s car. You can see it doesn't have the big stenciling on the right side saying when all the safety dates and checks were. But it's a necessity for any modern guy.
It's a great run, Matt. Beautiful.
Yeah. Nice cars. And more for the modern modeler. These were being requested like crazy. People were wondering where we're going to rerun these.
So Master O Berwick 60-foot high cubes.
Yep. And these are used to haul appliances and auto parts and all sorts of large metals or something with big frames, or comes in a huge box. Yeah, these are one of my favorite cars that ASO does. It's really nice.
It's a beautiful car. Yeah.
It's large. So in the features video, we're seeing a UP1 car. This is a fancy car to match your UP1 SC70 Mac.
Yeah, you got to buy it.
You gotta.
Yeah.
It's limited. So here we have new Conrail scheme. This is a Conrail large hook, which we've never done before. And these are basically from the conception of Conrail to till the end of Conrail. Some of them never got repainted. Some of them have CSX patches. So it's spans a lot of years, this paint scheme. Any Conrail fan will love that. The huge can opener, which they call the Conrail logo. Got DT&I. It's a little bit more plain, but auto parts country. You got to have it. It's classic. DT&I didn't want to spend the money with a big logo on that one. Louisville and Nashville. This one's cool. I like the blue and yellow, and just the family line system. It's just pretty cool paint scheme. Union Pacific. This is a cool billboard car. It's got UP written across it, so it's kind of unique because it doesn't have a UP shield on it. Instead, it just has the lettering, but it has that classic UP yellow and red and silver. It's just a pleasant looking UP car. And NS, modern guys will love that we're doing this. You throw that in any modern mixed freight, they're still around.
And then 2 limited editions, right?
2 limited editions. So Rio Grande actually had these, but they only had them in a plain brown paint scheme. And they actually got these cars a few years after they stopped doing their cool action orange and silver paint schemes. So this is a what if scenario if they ordered these cars a few years earlier and painted it up in their pleasing action orange scheme with the silver bottom. Just really like how that looks.
Yeah, it's such a cool logo.
Yeah, it just looks like it's moving fast.
Yep. And then, of course, the
speed lettering. And then the
Yeah.
Union Pacific one to go along with your SC70 Mac. Really cool. You know, railroads, sometimes they do matching equipment for their promotions. And this is kind of a case scenario like, hey, what if they did a piece of rolling stock? Because UP has Berwick boxcars from Missouri Pacific and Denver Rio Grande. So they have these in their system, and it could have happened. but it just looks cool.
3 Rail Tom says, just swipe my card and don't tell me the price.
That's the right attitude to have.
We like that.
All right, stock cars for your livestock needs.
This is the Train Man line, right?
Mm-hmm. It's one of our nicer Trainman cars. It's actually really well detailed. And the stock cars just have a ton of different color and variety. They're kind of cool because you get all sorts of color when you put them together. And the placards move on them, so they're specific for each prototype.
And what goes in here, Matt? This is livestock rides in these stock cars.
So it'll be like usually cattle, but on the West Coast, like this Burlington one, that was probably hogs and pigs. So the West Coast, more, Midwest would be cattle, and then the West Coast would be like hogs and pigs. The CP one's pretty cool. I like the white with the red. Here's a Ferrocarril del Pacifico, which is a railway of the Pacific. And yeah, as you know, an American modeler, we take for granted Mexican railways, but this the Ferrocarril del Pacifico was a huge railway. It was probably the same size as the Erie Lackawanna. Like it went from southern border of Arizona all the way down to almost the bottom of Mexico, which is the equivalent of New York to Chicago.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a small railroad, and they would end up in interchange service in the United States too. So it's cool to mix in some Mexican stuff into your fleet. Union Pacific, just the classic one. UP had a ton of these, and UP ran these into the 80s, actually. There's photos of SD40-2s hauling cattle cars. Santa Fe.
Just your red stock car.
Just your red stock car. Same thing with Rio Grande. Just your black stock car.
Yep. Neat.
But necessity if you model those railroads.
Right. For sure. Okay, let's see. We've got, I think this is the last one, the Train Man 50.6 boxcar. And what were these used for?
These were used for everything from canned goods to bulk paper mill service to cinder blocks. Basically anything consolidated and heavy will be put in a 50-foot boxcar. Otherwise, if it's light, they'll put them in the 60-footers or so the 50-foot boxcars still serve a purpose in modern day railroading. Because cubic space and weight together, you can only fit so much stuff in a space without blowing out the axles or springs of the car. This is another nice Tramman car.
Yeah, I thought so when I was messing with the models.
Yeah, no, they're nice. So here we see the Guilford Main Central. It's a Guilford car with Main Central reporting marks. These are really cool all over New England. Our Pan Am cars do really well when we do them on this car. So this is kind of like a sister to the Pan Am car. You'll see the Pan Am cars as well as these Guilford cars coupled up together outside of paper mills all over New England. I just like that scheme. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, me too.
Rock Island and the classic The Rock scheme. It's pretty cool. GATX with the Warwick Railroad reporting marks. So this is a General American owned car, leased to P&W or Warwick. Everybody has their monopoly rules, so that's why sometimes you'll see reporting marks that don't naturally necessarily match the logo.
Ah, that's a good thing to throw out there for fans.
Yeah, and speaking of monopoly rules, you'll see that on that UP car. If you go back 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
so BKTY was a Katy reporting mark, And Union Pacific bought out Katy, and because of monopoly rules, they you're only allowed so many cars and locomotives per railroad, or else you have to lease the rest. So a way to get around that is you buy out a different railroad and you keep their reporting marks as a subsidiary. And so that's what you see here. That's a Union Pacific car with Katy marks on it.
Well, we're learning a lot tonight, Matt.
Very educational. Rail box, just classic. Rail boxes everywhere.
Yep.
From the 70s till today. Everybody loves rail box.
It's a good looking scheme.
It is. Speaking of good looking schemes, you get Santa Fe with the big circle cross. It's another classic for the Santa Fe buffs. Good stuff. Yeah, they're nicely detailed car at an affordable price. Those Tram cars.
Yeah, for sure. All right, now toward the back of the catalog, Jared, your favorite sanding towers.
I love sanding towers, guys.
Oh, I like what you guys did with these because MTH only did them in silver and maybe black, and quite a while ago. So I like the fact that the railroad schemes have been applied to them.
Yeah, it was. I think gearing it specifically towards people's railroad, gives them. I'm a CSX modeler, so if I see my railroad on accessory, I'm getting it. So it's the same thought process. And these, we actually looked at photographs for these. We didn't just randomly slap logos on there. Like Union Pacific has multiple sanding towers in their maintenance away, light green. And same thing with SP. SP sanding towers were silver. So there we go, Santa Fe all the way. We got the silver sanding tower. I like the BNSF one in orange. It stands out,
Yeah.
So it saves some guys that want to be really detailed, saves you time from, applying decals or painting it yourself. And we're still going to offer the generic black and silver sanding towers as well. So if you have a short line or a freelance railroad, you can work with the black and silver.
Very cool.
So your
All
turntable.
Right. Onto the turntable. So Atlas has put out an upgraded O-scale turntable. We had a turntable that we had years ago. We made a lot of upgrades to it. It's a 24-inch accessory. You can use any of the locomotives that you saw in the catalog tonight. Works with both 2 and 3 rail locomotives. Runs on AC or DC power. It's compatible with TMCC, DCS, DCC. Pretty easy turntable to install. Just really 3 screws. Installs on your tabletop. You can visit atlasrr.com, find out more information. Everybody needs a turntable, and it works perfect, with our engine house. And yeah, just check it out on shop.atlasr.com. And just before we wind down the presentation, wanted to just mention that we're currently taking orders on our 4th of July boxcar. That 4th of July boxcar is going to be arriving soon. Got a picture of it somewhere here. Whoa, that doesn't work.
Is it in the book?
You know what? I got it on put it as a background. That's not going to work though. Let's see. Here we go. There we go. I'll just overlay it. Sorry, Andy, I'm on top of you.
That's so good.
So right. So the 4th of July boxcar, it is it's available 2 and 3 rail. It's something that we're taking orders on now. I have actually one of the. I guess it works better just on the screen like that. I had one of the cars here that I just got from one of our suppliers, and it looks great. It's a beautiful car. It's actually going to come around the perimeter. There's going to be red, white, and blue alternating lights that light up. I think it's just going to be a really outstanding car. And again, we've got we're taking orders, on this right now. So yeah, definitely come to the website, check out. You can either buy it on shop.lsr.com, or you can find a dealer on our website by going to the dealer locator. So that's just one of the models I wanted to highlight before we end the presentation. But just want to say thanks to Andy and Matt, for their help here tonight. Just thank everybody that jumped on YouTube and Facebook to watch. I think at one point we had, I think it was over 500 people watching live, which is great. This is something that we want to do a lot more of. So yeah, appreciate everybody logging in, checking us out. If you want to buy any of the products that you saw here tonight, you can log on directly to shop.atlasr.com and buy online, or you can click on the dealer locator to find a hobby store near you. And definitely be sure to sign up for Atlas's email broadcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And anything else, guys?
I thought I would just throw in, for those folks who have been buying the Atlas engines with the Protosound 3, I'm sure you've been anxiously awaiting the release of the DCS system, the new Wi-Fi TIU, WTIU they call it, and that is going into production finally this summer. So they're looking for a targeted Q4 delivery. So sometime October to the end of the year, it should be out. And the COVID thing really messed up everybody when it came to the supplies of the electronic components. And as much as we'd like to think that our hobby is super important, it's pretty much low man on the totem pole when it comes to getting those components procured. But that has been done, and there'll be a new app that comes out that will control that WTIU, as well as the older WIU and the DCS Explorer. Any of those devices can run your Atlas locomotives that are equipped with Protosound 3. So we'll have a lot more information about that WTIU when it starts to become available. Even before, there'll be some good instructional videos and so forth. It's very easy to use. The app is super simple, very intuitive. And of course, this is going to be new for a lot of diehard Atlas fans who are now buying these new locomotives. But I think you're going to enjoy it, and you'll find that there's no other way to run a railroad. So looking forward to that later in the fall. And you'll see some more information from Atlas as we get closer to that date.
Yeah, I think everybody's looking forward to that new WTIU, and yeah, like Andy said, we'll definitely have more information, out from Andy and Atlas very soon. All right, guys, gonna come to a close. Thanks a lot for joining us on this live stream tonight. Again, Andy, Matt, thank you so much, and we'll catch everybody on the next live stream. Thanks a lot, guys.